الكريم من كتاب البداية والهداية. أبو حميد الغزالي رحمه الله تعالى ونفعنا بعلومه وكما سائر رسائل الدارين آمين. The method and etiquette of ritual prayer. When you have finished purifying yourself and purifying your body, clothes, and surrounding of any impurities, and after you have covered your nakedness from your navel to your knees, face the Qibla, standing with your feet apart, not touching each other. Stand up straight and recite Surah An-Nas, seeking protection with it from Shaitan the accursed. Make your hearts present and empty yourself of other thoughts. Consider before whom you are standing and upon whom you are calling. You should be ashamed to enter into intimate discourse with your master with a heart that is heedless and a breast full of thoughts of this world and the dross of lowly desires. Know that Allah the Most High is observing your inner self and beholding your heart. Truly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts your prayers based only on the degree of your awe, humility, surrender, and submissive entreaty. Worship Him in your prayer as if you see Him, or knowing that even though you do not see Him, He sees you. If your heart does not come to presence, this is due to a shortcoming in your gnosis of the magnificence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore imagine that a pious man from among the respected people of your community is watching you to see how your prayer is. At this your heart will become present and your limbs peaceful. Then ask yourself, are you not embarrassed in front of your Creator and Master? When you imagine being observed by one of his humble slaves, who has no means to benefit or harm you, your limbs became submissive and your prayer improved, yet you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is observing you, and you do not humble yourself before His Majesty? Is He most high lower to you than one of His slaves? How great is your tyranny, how severe your ignorance, and how greatly you wrong yourself. Treat your heart with these remedies in the hope that it will be present with you in your prayer. For verily nothing of your prayer counts except that in which you are mindful. As for the part that you performed with heedlessness, it is more in need of repentance and expiation. Once your heart is present, do not omit the call to commence, even if you are alone. If you are waiting for a group of worshippers to be present, make the call to prayer, then the call to commence. Once you have made the call to commence, form the intention in your heart of performing the obligatory rak'ah of dhuhr for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the Most High. This intention should be present in your heart as you make the opening takbir and should not leave your heart before you finish the takbir. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم يا فتاح يا عليم افتح بيننا وبين الحاضرين بالحق وأنت خير الفاتحين. الإمام الغزالي he continues in the chapter آداب الاستعداد لسائر الصلوات. After speaking about the etiquette of sleep and person waking up from his sleep and the manner in which he should wake up, we spoke about and the adhkar he should read when he wakes up in the morning. A large part of a person's life revolves around his ibadah, and the pinnacle of all ibadah is salah. The pillar of all ibadah is salah. إن صلحت صلح سائر عمله وإن فسدت فسد سائر عمله وأول ما يحاسب عليه العبد يوم القيامة. The first thing that Allah Ta'ala will hold a slave accountable for on the day of Qiyamah is his salah. If his salah is upright, then all his deeds will be upright. If his salah is not, then his deeds holds no value. And العهد الذي بيننا وبينهم الصلاة فمن تركها فقد كفر. The pledge between us and the difference between us and disbelievers is salah. The one who does not perform his salah, he has left the fold of Islam. And the scholars have a detail with regards to this, and they distinguish whether the salah is tariku salati juhudan or tariku salati kasalan. The person who leaves salah out of
laziness, and a person who leaves the salah out of disregarding its obligatory nature, and the one who says salah is not part of the deen, or it's not an obligation of the deen, such a person is left the fold of Islam. As for the person who says, I don't make salah, but I know I'm supposed to make salah, and I'm lazy, and Allah Ta'ala grant me, such a person, he is a fasiq. والفاسق ترد شهادته. A person who is a fasiq, uh, a sinner of that caliber, his salah, his testimony cannot be accepted. And uh, a testimony of such a person cannot be accepted, and therefore many things of a person's life hinges on his ibadah and on his salah. الفاسق هو الذي أي definition of a فاسق is لم يرتكب صغيرة ولم يصر على صغيرة ولم تغلب حسناته ولم تغلب سيئاته حسناته. A person who does not who has not performed a major sin, ومن لم يرتكب الكبيرة, and he does not insist upon a minor sin, and his bad deeds does not surpass his good deeds. Ooh, difficult criteria. Who's there that hasn't committed multiple minor sins consistently? And how are we certain that our deeds, good deeds, are greater than our bad deeds? And therefore, you find, for example, a custom within the lands of Tarim when performing a Aqdun Nikah, a ceremony, a marriage ceremony contract. Prior to the Nikah, they have an istighfar, a joint istighfar. This joint istighfar is before the people witness the Nikah, because everyone is a witness to the Nikah, whoever's present. Not only those who sign the certificate, whoever's present is witness to the Nikah. And a condition of a Shahid must be adil. A Shahid must be trustworthy. The trustworthiness of a Shahid is taken away if the person is a fasiq, if he's a sinner, transgressor. How does he get his shahada? How does he get his adala back? According to some, they say that through istighfar. So what they do is they make a joint istighfar, where they say, قولوا جميعا نستغفر الله. All of you say together, نستغفر الله. Then the entire gathering says, نستغفر الله, نستغفر الله. And then right there and then, they make istighfar and they make tawbah. After that istighfar and the tawbah is done, according to some of the scholars, ترد عدالته. The fasiq, his adala is then reinstated. And on account of that, everyone in the session is then eligible to be witnesses to the Aqd nikah. However, imagine if you have in a gathering, none of them are eligible to be shuhud. Then the nikah is incomplete. ولا نكاح إلا بولي وشاهدي عدل. The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, a nikah is not valid except through a wali. According to Imam Shafi'i, لا نكاح صحيح. No nikah is valid. The validity of nikah is suspended on the existence, on the presence of a wali and two witnesses. Adl, trustworthy witnesses. And this trustworthiness is taken away if the person is a fasiq. So after that istighfar, the trustworthiness is reinstated, and they all then become eligible to be witnesses. Again, a very important practices, and we also have it here within our communities. Maybe it is not emphasized in that manner, but after the khutbah to nikah, then the person, the imam would say at the end, he say, ولكل قضاء قدر ولكل قدر أجل يمحو الله ما يشاء ويثبت عنده. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله. Now in the past when he used to say astaghfirullah, the entire jama'ah used to say astaghfirullah. He said astaghfirullah, the entire jama'ah said astaghfirullah, and this was the objective behind it. But now of late I noticed that a few nikahs attended, they don't say. The imam says astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, and everyone just attended. And this should actually be emphasized by the ai that when they do say astaghfirullah, that the people should repeat with the intention that they seek Allah's forgiveness, whatever they may have committed of major and minor sins. Allah alam. So he says, ينبغي أن تستعد لصلاة الظهر قبل الزوال. You should prepare for the صلاة الظهر before zawal. Is this right? I'm sick, no. I think I'm in the wrong place. Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. آداب الصلاة. The etiquette of صلاة. فإذا فرغت من طهارة الحدث وطهارة الخبث في البدن والثياب. خبث and not خبث. What is the difference between خبث and خبث؟ الخبث أي النجاسة بفتح بفتحتين، أي بفتحة الخاء والباء، أو الخاء الفوقية. they say الجيم المعجمة والخاء الفوقية meaning the dot is on top of the خاء. جيم المعجمة means the dot is inside the, because in the past they used to write without the dots and without the حركات. So how do you know if it's a ha or kha or jim? They say بالمعجمة أو بالفوقية أو بالتحتية. So that بالفوقية means the dot would be on top. بالتحتية means the dot would be at the bottom, like a ba, for example. المعجمة would be in the middle. So بفتحتين. الخبث. Right? الخبث. What is خبث? خبث الشيطان. الخبث. So الخبث means if you've purified yourself from hadath, you've removed the hadath, and you've purified yourself from the khabath, from your najasa. Khabath means najasa. في البدن, on your body. وفي الثياب والمكان. These are the conditions of salah. طهارة البدن والمكان والثوب. من شروط صحة الصلاة قبل الدخول فيها, from the conditions of the validity of salah prior to entering into salah, is that the one has to be pure. His body, his clothing, and his place that he stands on. Any of these three, uh, if it is not ticked, if it's not ticked, then is لا تصح له الصلاة. His salah is not valid. And this you have dealt with in the fiqh class. You did already the شروط صحة الصلاة. Okay? نعم جنيد. لا, you don't remember. You remember? We did it. No. You did شروط صحة الصلاة. طيب. Why you look so uncertain? طيب, we did شروط صحة الصلاة. The condition. What is the other condition for the validity of salah before entering? ستر العورة. نعم, أحسنت. ستر العورة, covering of the عورة. And the عورة for the man and for the female within salah is different. ف ف فعورة الرجل فعورة الرجل في صلاته ما بين سرته وركبته وسرته وركبته ليست من العورة. Between the navel and the knee, and the navel and the knee is not part of the عورة. It's slightly above. So is slightly part of the navel, part of the عورة. Okay? If you say it's slightly above the navel, then it's part of the navel, the عورة. Must cover the navel. Must cover the navel. ايش؟ ها؟ جماعة. Where's the school Said Ahmed now? نعم. So what do they say? What's the قاعدة? ما لا يتم الواجب إلا به فهو واجب. But if the wajib cannot be completed with except that which it should be performed, then it becomes wajib. I cannot complete my wajib except through that, then that becomes wajib as well. And in order to cover your awrah, you have to cover above it. Above it is the navel, and beneath it is so part of the navel, but it's the knees and the navel is not part of the على أصح الأقوال, even though some say that the جزء من السرة وجزء من الركبة is part of the awrah. As for the and that is according to the majority of the scholars, and it's one of the narrations in the madhab of Imam Malik and Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. The second view in the madhab of Imam Malik and Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal is that al-qubul wa dubur, just the front and the back part of the person's private part, that is part of his awrah. And if Imam Sha'rani in his book al-Mizan al-Kubra, He says that Sharia is all about a balance, and he wrote a book where the reason why he wrote this book was he met with Sayyidina al-Khadir. Sayyidina al-Khadir, there's difference among the scholars. Is he a prophet? Is he not a prophet? Huh? Is he a prophet? Is he not a prophet? What's he the ulama? The prophet, not a prophet. Different. Some say he's a prophet, and some say those who say he's a prophet they have their reasons, and those who say he's not a prophet they have their reasons. Um, from the Quran and uh, from the Sunnah and from the Athar of the Tabi'een and from the Kashf of the Salihin of the Ummah. All of them have their proof. So the Sayyidina al-Khadr saw he Al-Imam al-Sha'rani met Sayyidina al-Khadr and he told him, how do you explain the it comes in his book I think it's Al-Fawaid al-Khadriya or something that and he wrote this book on account of his meeting with Sayyidina al-Khadr. How do you explain the fact that there's different madhahib and the deen is one and all of them have difference of opinions? And so Sayyidina al-Imam al-Khadr said it is it is martabatay al-mizan. It is like the two sides of the scale. Sharia is like two sides of the scale. There's a more strict and it is more lenient side, and it depends on the person's ability and his level of connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore you'd find in the madhahib at certain instances you'd find, for example, Imam Abu Hanifa is more strict, Imam Shafi is more lenient, and in certain instances you find Imam Shafi is very strict, Abu Hanifa is more lenient, and so the other madhahib as well. And then he says wabiha. So what he does is he would he would say uh, the Al-Imam Shafi'i would say فعورة الرجل في الصلاة ما بين سرته وركبته. According to Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Al-Shafi'i, the aura of a man is between his surah and his rukbah. وعورة الرجل عند الإمام مالك وأحمد في إحدى روايتيه القبل والدبر. The aura of a man in Salah, according to Imam Malik and Imam Ahmad, in one of the views, is the front and the back. The private parts in front and the back. وبهذا رجح كفتي الميزان. And in this way, the scale in Sharia has balanced. The more lenient and the more depending on the person's and the person's relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And subhanallah, how amazing is this Sharia of ours. Allahu Akbar. So, Satrul Awra and the Awra of a female in Salah, according to Imam Shafi'i, is what جميع بدنها إلا her entire body except وجهها وكفيها. وجهها, her face, وكفيها and her hands, her arms, her hands. وعند الإمام أبي حنيفة زاد وقدميها. He said, and her feet as well, which means that her hands, her face, and her feet. وبهذا رجح كفتي الميزان. The more lenient in this instance is Imam Abu Hanifa, and the more strict approach would be Al-Imam Al-Shafi. وهكذا. That is how Sharia is. Allahu Akbar. And he says, ومن ستر العورة من السرة إلى الركبة فاستقبل القبلة. After that is then approach the Qibla, the direction of the Qibla. أي بصدرك your face, your chest or your face, your chest. So if فإن انحرف, if he looks this way, it's fine. What if he turns his chest? Uh-huh. So therefore, some people, when they salah and the space is tight, then they turn the chest and the face is to the direction of the Qibla. It's not right. They can rather turn their face if that's going to make a difference, but they shouldn't change the chest. لأن العبرة بالصدر لا بالوجه. Objective is the face and not the otherwise if the objective was the yeah, if there's no space, there's no space. A tall person and a short person. Oh, is the person stands out? These arms out. Mm. Some people, mashallah, they bodybuilders, so they can't, their muscles is here, so they can't bring their arms down, so they stand like this. Yes. Yeah. A person, he's on the road, or he's at the on the beach, right? Or he's at the pools. If he now doesn't, firstly, is it jais for a person to walk in front of strange females with nothing on top? If his auras between his navel, among the, that's actually not jais, because a female looking at a male is haram. Any part of his body for that matter. A female looking at a male intention is haram. With even the face, even the face. I can't look at a strange female in her face. Therefore, the Prophet ﷺ said, "النظرة الأولى لك والثانية عليك." So the entire body of a male and the entire body of a female is actually aura in terms of looking. I can't look. Can I look at the female's hands with desire? I can't. Can I look at the but the hands can be uncovered? Can I look at the face with? I can't. I can't look at the face with desire. In the same way for the females as well. The fact that the men don't wear parda doesn't mean that you can look at the face with desire. Looking at the face with desire is haram. Haram, both males and females. Um, except that within salah there is there's a specific aura that is required. عفواً, a minimum standard for the aura to be covered. So now the person is مثلا now he's making salah in a minimum requirement, but he's as his connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increases, Haji Sadiq is saying, he feels that how can I stand in front of my Allah like this? I'm not going to work like this. Will I go to work like this? No, how can I stand in front of Allah like this? I said, Yani Rabbi, I'm not going to stand in front of my manager like this. So how is it appropriate for me? And that is true. وكل ما زاد إيمان العبد زاد خشيته من ربه. The more the person's iman increases, the more his level of consciousness of Allah Ta'ala increases. And hence why the best manner in which a person should approach Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is how Rasulullah Ta'ala looked. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam looked when he stood in front of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And so the one who wears a top, فهو خير. And if he wears a kufiya with it, and it is better. فهو أكثر متابعة للسنة. And if he wears with his kufiya, he wears a turban, فهو أفضل. He is more in conformity to the sunnah. وصلاة بعمامة خير من 70 صلاة بلا عمامة. To make salah with a turban, it is 70 times better than making salah without a turban. نعم. Sheikh Hassan was uh, the Imam of the Lansdowne. He's not experiencing the best of health. May Allah Ta'ala grant him shifa, Ya Rabbal Alameen. He was telling me once that when he was Imam, he's still Imam, but when he gave khutbah once, and then he ascended the member, Sheikh Salih Abadi was still alive that time. Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh. One of the pious saints of our locality. And Sheikh Salih Abadi was in the masjid. So I said, Imam, Sheikh Salih Abadi was in your Jummah. Imam said, yes. I don't know how I would have spoken if Sheikh Salih Abadi is to be in, because it's Sheikh Salih Abadi sitting in the Jummah. So Imam says, so I get on the minbar. As I get on the minbar, uh, so he gets on with the kufiya and jubba and the top. So Sheikh Salih Abadi always has a shawl with him. So he takes his shawl and he throws it to Imam on the minbar. And he sits the kufiya cup. he's on the minbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. He just took up your cup while in subhanallah, the level of how they were conscious of the sunnah, because the sunnah is that a person should have a covering, amama or something on his head. وكان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم له كان له وشاح يتوشح به. He had a shawl that he used to cover, when he used to get on the minbar. And therefore, our scholars of the Shafi'i, they say that a part of the turban, there's another covering that the Prophet ﷺ used to put over his turban, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, which is also part of the sunnah. Naam. Then now he wears his jubba. كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم له جبة رومية, and many other jubbas. The Prophet ﷺ, فإن زاد في السنة, and the increase in the sunnah. And then he wears his rida, that زاد في السنة. The more he increases in his attire, the more he increases in practicing the sunnah, and the more his salah becomes acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But more important than that is, لا تغفل. Don't be heedless of the most important part of that is, and what is the state of your heart when you stand in front of Allah. And this is what Imam Al-Ghazali speaks after that. But before he gets to that, he says, فَاسْتَقْبِلْ الْقِبْلَةِ بِصَدْرِكَ, with your chest. The Qibla, according to Imam Shafi'i, is عين القبلة لمن كان في القرب. Whoever is close to the Kaaba, عين الكعبة. عين الكعبة is the actual Kaaba. أما من كان في البعد, as for the person who's far away, فهو عينه كذلك ولكن ظن. What is the difference between the two? Imam Shafi'i don't draw a distinction between close and far. He says it's عين الكعبة. But the difference is, one is yaqinan and the other one is dhanna. Because it's yaqina means certainty. With certainty, I'm definitely now facing the Kaaba because I can see it. But how do you know for certain that you're facing the Kaaba if you cannot see it? So he makes it dhanna, in terms of the person's predominant assumption. His overpowering assumption. What do they call it when it's more on a balance of, not balance, what's this? More than balance of probability? But your greater, on the greater estimation. What is the meaning of preponderant? ها؟ غلبة الظن. نعم. غلبة أن يغلب على ظنه. Belief, yeah. Or thought. It's overpowering thought. نعم. As for Imam Abu Hanifa, it's different. Abu Hanifa says no. اللي close من كان أمام الكعبة فهو عينه. The person who's in front of the Kaaba is عينه. أما من كان بعيدا, as one who's far and he cannot see it, فجهته, the direction of it. The jihatu can be described as two things. It could be described either as the base of a triangle. So you have the triangle, you have the point. The point is the musalli. They say the top of the top of the triangle is the musalli. The base of the triangle, which is, call it AB, C is the point. So from A to B, that line, that is the jihad. Hab مثلا assume, let's say, the middle line between A and B is the Kaaba. So you have A, B, C. If I had the Buddha's place, I could draw it. But let's assume you have a triangle. It's easy to perceive. You have a triangle. You have A, B, C. Right? Let's say C is the head of the triangle. AB is the base of the triangle. The middle of the triangle is the Kaaba. If the person was to make salah, C, who's the musalli, he's making directly to the middle of the base. He's facing the actual Kaaba. That is how he has to make salah if he sees it. As if he don't see it, if he doesn't, this is according to Imam Abu Hanifa. If he doesn't see it, then fajihatuhu, the direction of it is, which is anywhere between A and B. Anywhere between A and B. There is a hadith where they quote, the Prophet ﷺ said that ma bayn al-mashriq wal-maghrib qibla, which the direction between the east and the west is the qibla. So if the direction of the qibla is south, then anywhere between facing the east and the west towards the north would be the direction of the qibla. So look at the vastness as opposed to the more stringent view of Imam Shafi. وَبِهَذَا رَجَحَ كَفَّتَيْ الْمِيزَانِ. And in this way, the Sharia was balanced out in matter of the Qibla. And all the matters of our deen is like it. Allahu Akbar. Allah Allah. And then he says, قائما مزاوجا بين قدميك بحيث لا تضمهما. The person مثلا saying, okay, but now what if I don't know. I come to a country or I come to a city and the people are I don't know where the Qibla is. But I get this one Imam or this one alim or student of deen tell me, I say, what's the direction of the Qibla? I say, this is the direction of the Qibla. I say, Akid. He said, "Naam, I love you. We're making salah all the time this way. He's a salih person, mathalan. He's not a kafir, a fasiq according to some يعني person is known in the community مثلا. Then I say, nah, I don't trust you. I'm going to make my own ijtihad. I'm going to make my own research. طيب, how are you going to research? آه، شوف أمشي. I take out my جوال, my phone. I'm going to take out my app and I'm going to put that. لا يستقيم. Is it jais for him to do that? It's not even jais. It is not jais for him to make ijtihad in if a person uh, who is a Muslim ثقة who is trustworthy tells him this is the direction of the Qibla لأنه وصله الخبر. As for this device of mine, this device of mine is a fasiq designed by a kafir. The أدل دليل على ذلك is the fact that we have the same app but it gives us different readings. Happened or didn't happen? You have apps and then the one say, what's the direction of the Qibla? They say, oh, mine says so. The other says, no, mine says, okay, now you must turn your phone like this. Now you turn your phone, then they say, okay, now it's now this direction. The other one says, but this one of the mashayikh was saying that he was in Makkah. One of the mashayikh was in Makkah. And then he used his app. He used his app. So he was in the bottom floor. He was in the bottom floor, ground floor, and he put on the app. And the app showed him a direction which was off the direction of the actual Kaaba. Right? So he says, I go up to the 30th floor. And now I can see, because it was close to the Haram, one of the big, nice, expensive hotels that is close to the Haram. So he says, I had the Haram view, so I could see. So I put on my app, and the app is, the Kaaba is here, and the thing is showing me this way. I say, Kadib, you liar. He said, I spoke to my phone that time, he said, you liar. Kadabta. He says, yeah, I'm seeing the actual Qibla in front of me. Are you going to say I'm a liar now? Is it gonna So, and the strange thing is that his direction on ground floor and the 30th floor was different. Like it gave the compass, gave him a different reading when he was on ground floor and when he was on the 30th floor. So, if the person says, I'm going to use Google or with all respect, obviously, I'm not saying that the person shouldn't use it but it's the inasan. It's the inasan just as a further confirmation, but not as a primary source to determine your your direction of your qibla. There may be a bit more accurate manners in which to figure out, but according to Imam al-Nawawi in his Majmu', he says the most authentic, the weakest manner is through the winds and things. It is the most authentic one is how through the winds. So people must know the direction of the winds. Okay, this is a southeastern wind, that's a north. But this is the more authentic one is through the star constellations, through the North Star, and through what they known as the the there's a name. I'm not so well acquainted with the names, but eventually you determine your minor earth or something like that, or they call it some dipper. It's like you get a big dipper and you get a minor dipper, and then between the two you determine from your big dipper you determine your north star. From your north star you determine what is your minor dipper. Your minor dipper then has like a point of it of which it falls exactly onto the middle of your major dipper. Um, and that would be basically the direction of your of your of your qibla. We can draw it sometime, inshallah, if the time allows. So he says, so the person faces in the direction of the qibla. Firstly, we don't follow the Googles and stuff like that. Another way is obviously through the sun, through the shadow of the sun. However, the shadow of the sun is going to be different at different places. So a person that is mathalan now you're in Cape Town, the shadow would not be, he cannot follow the same if he's maybe now Cape Town, if it's all the way to the northeast of South Africa. And it will be different to a person who is the northwest of South Africa, different to the person who's the north of the continent. So the directions would be different because the way the sun casts its shadow is different. If the sun casts a shadow, if it's right on top, would be different if it casts a shadow if it is on the side, if the shadow is being casted behind or in front or on the left. So these things requires a person to know your geographical location in order to work out from the shadow of the thing what is the direction of one's qibla. From where we are, generally Cape Town speaking, we face north east 35 degrees, 35 degrees north east 22, east no northeast, northeast about 20 and 30 degrees. That would be the direction of the Kaaba. So yeah, so here's the thing. I never lived in that era. Maybe Haji Ali can give us some more feedback on north. They follow the Hanafi madhab. Jaiz salatu. They were all facing direction of north. Hmm. Hmm. So Haji Ali saying for those who never heard, he's saying in the past they faced the north and not northeast. And as a result of that, they were facing the direction, but not the actual, not the Ain Qibla. So the Salah would be valid according to whom? According to Hanafis. With the Hanafis, but we Shafi'i. So here's another thing. We said that a person when he comes in a city and Haji Ali comes to me and he tells me, MashaAllah, you are Muhammad Philander. I say, Naam. So I say, Haji Ali, what is the direction of the Qibla here in Cape Town? He say, this is the direction of the Qibla. And he shows me. I can't now take out my compass and take this and try and even looking at the sun and looking at no. لا يجوز الاجتهاد. I can't make ijtihad because I received the khabar, the opinion from a person who's trustworthy. Another time when a person cannot make ijtihad is if you come to a land and there's existing maharib that is already there. Masajid, mihrabs, people that have been making salah, no come. I say, "Yalla, I'm not making salah." Ik denk, "Yalla, maak salah." I'm going to make my own ijtihad now. Unless there's qat'a. But generally, a mihrab is not established except after consulting the people of hmm, astronomy, no? Astronomy and the people, the ulama, and so on. And as a result of that, when you come to a city and you see that the masajid are all facing that direction, you can't make ijtihad and see are they right or are they wrong. Question though, I come to a hotel room and I open the drawer and they say that's the direction of the qibla. Oh, I look in the ceiling and say that's it. Can I make ijtihad or am I allowed? Must I accept it? Am I allowed to make ijtihad? Or does that fall under the view that I'm not allowed to? No. I can make ijtihad in that instance. Why? Because I don't know who set out that direction. If it is a masjid, it's a musalla, it is understood that generally to be set out by people of ilm, of both the astronomy and people of deen. But with the hotel, I don't know. Could be one person, maybe just the maintenance guy. Okay, this is the qibla. So we don't know. And then in that instance, because there is no certainty that there would have been a proper process that has been followed, I am allowed to make ijtihad in that instance. نعم. Yeah. Yeah. So Haji Ali saying that in terms of where we are now in Cape Town, you can go to the land surveyor's office, and then you can request the surveyor general's office. Then you can go and request for a diagram of your property. And once they give you the north point of your plot, you can calculate from there based on the coordinates what is northeast 22 degrees. Who worked out the coordinates? Is he Muslim or not Muslim? نعم. So who worked it out? عرفت. So نعم, they worked out the north point. Mhm. But they still work on the coordinates such as put away a non-Muslim. I'm just asking. The more accurate would be the sun. More accurate would be determining and the stars. Allah says وعلامات وبالنجم هم يهتدون. وعلامات and signs وبالنجم and through stars they find guidance. It's one of the objectives of the stars is to find وهو الذي جعل لكم النجوم لتهتدوا بها في ظلمات البر والبحر. Allah is the one who placed the stars in a specific manner so that you may find guidance in the darkness of the lands and the sea. Mm. Um, Before you have to put it in. Before. نعم. To determine. صحيح صحيح. نعم. نعم. صحيح. I don't know. I don't know what the degrees are in. I would assume it would be slightly different. The degrees would slightly be different. But still northeast, but the degrees would slightly be different. Slightly different. Slightly different degree. Still northeast. Mm. I've even seen some people where they grab the on some app as things like a Earth app, then they grab it and then they zoom in, they see where they are exactly, and they zoom out again and they see the Kaaba, and then they pull a line. So those things are all, yes, it looks real. It looks real, because it looks like, oh, this is where the house is, and but again, the reality is that how do you know that that is exactly what it is? Is a possibility that it could be wrong? Could be wrong. So these calculations, and therefore um, a person that says, well, these calculations works on maths and formulas, and those maths and formulas must always be must always be right. I beg to differ. If they say in most cases is right, yes, I may agree with you. Say, but however, then what is the difference between that and the sighting of the moon? So that's exactly what they're saying. We sight the moon, we work on calculations, we know when the moon is born, and we know exactly that the moon is definitely born, and that's the age. But the Prophet says, "Sumu li ru'yatihi, aftiru li ru'yatihi." That should be the citation that should determine whether the moon, whether the month enters or not. In hum alaykum, to a point that even the moon is there, but it's overcast. Then continue Sha'ban and don't start fasting the month of Ramadan. So a lot of things within our deen is also not based on um uh not it's not based on it's definitely so it's based on ta'abbudi. Allah Ta'ala wants us to submit and accept to that and accept it. Uh, the the right, so here's the thing. So here's the thing. If you are flying on a plane, you are seeing a 3D image or an animation image. You're not seeing the actual aeroplane. There's not a camera on top, somewhere suspended in the sama that is showing you. It's showing a 3D dimension. So they're still working on coordinates of where it is. But what is maybe more certain than that is the direction of the nose of the plane. What would be more certain is the direction. If you're facing the direction, if you're flying towards Makkah, and your nose of your plane will most likely be face the direction of which you. But is it now going to be the Ainul Kaaba? Is it the actual Kaaba, or is it maybe Jeddah? Because if flying towards Jeddah, they're not flying towards Makkah. Allah Alam. May Allah Ta'ala grant us to face our front to the direction of the Kaaba and our hearts. هذا أهم شيء, the heart is. And therefore he says وَحْضِرْ قَلْبَكَ, and your heart should be present. And we stop at this point because our time is up. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for not fulfilling the haqq of the class. Het is Haji Ali wat so praat van allemaal die diagrams en فاتحة القبول وتمام كل سنة ومن بجاه سيدنا الرسول أن الله من علينا برسول الله دواء الرسول على صالح جامعة وعلى ما نوسلفنا صالح وعلى ما نوقض الزمان وعلى ما نوسلفهم بسر الفاتحة وإلى حضرة النبي.